Hello everybody, it's me Ross and welcome to another edition of Gameday Extra Time, the show where fans have their say on their club. And before we get started, although we've started already, there's going to be a service announcement from myself to let you know, unfortunately there'll be no main pod on Monday. So, Gameday Extra Time Extra is here to bring you your void of Ipswich Town, and I'm joined by a fantastic panel of guests. I wouldn't say guests, they're friends of mine, to talk about the glorious goalless draw against Wigan. Going to be looking at the run-in and who is your candidate for the Player of the Season award. That'll be a tricky one to decide. But of course, normal service will resume later in the week as the boys return, and myself as well, for the main pod to look at the Easter fixtures. We're in Easter already. Just madness. 2021 has gone very quickly already. But anyway, enough of me chatting and rambling as I always do. Let's get involved and let's introduce the fine gentlemen that are joining me this week. We've got Jon, Matt, Ben and Darren as we first talk about the goalless draw against Wigan. Town now 11th in League One. And it wasn't as bad as the Northampton draw. It wasn't bad as the Fleetwood defeat, but it wasn't a great game. I want to go over to good old Jon first to get his thoughts on the goalless draw. KVY started this game. Unfortunately, didn't finish the game and got subbed off at half-time, and he pulled a hamstring. Your thoughts, your reaction on that goalless draw, my friend?
Well, thanks for having me on to start off with, Ross. It's a pleasure, as always, to be with you folks. And, the game itself yesterday was yet another, frankly, piss-poor game, wasn't it? It was just not good enough. At one point in the first half, I found myself going, "Away, man!" Oh! I was getting really annoyed at just the lack of pressure we actually. I got cross with your boy Guyon yesterday, especially at times. He looked. I couldn't tell if he looked lost, if he was not interested. I'm sure that's not the case. He's a professional. I'm not going to be an idiot and say he wasn't trying, but he just looks so off it. And, one of the things I love about Gameday and Gameday Extra Time is you listen to other fans, some of which now I'm friends with, like we talked about before. But most people see the same thing. Yes, we can disagree on one or two people, players' performances and that kind of thing. But you guys you had on yesterday, I know Darren's with us today, but Steve and James, they said similar things that we just weren't very good. And it's not like we're just biased. We're just fans who pay our tenner week in, week out. If you're not a season ticket holder, I've paid, was that game 36 of the season? Something like that, of the league season. There's 360 quid I've paid to watch, on the whole, one good game against Blackpool and a couple of other average games. I've probably had £60 worth, 6 games, let's say. I haven't counted them up. It's probably 4. I'm probably over-exaggerating. That's 30 games where I've been pretty average. I've said the words bang average more this year than ever before in my life. And yesterday was another prime example. Who stood out? You probably have to say that Toto and Chambers, because they helped keep a clean sheet. But Jesus Christ. I mean, Chambers was centre-half, and I don't mind him being back in there. Certainly if you can have somebody like KVY fit again, which who knows if that might be it for a while now. I don't know. I really hope not, because I feel for the poor guy. I think that was a breath of fresh air having him back in the squad. But you see Chambers keep doing okay, but their centre-forward did him for pace a number of times. I really like the look of Solomon Otterber, their left winger. And, they just had time on the ball and they pressed as a team. I tweeted out about 20 minutes into the game that I love listening to Paul Cook, because I'm since he's took over, I've been listening on the I Follow commentary with him just shouting things like, press, 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 higher, higher, higher. And it's just fantastic to hear his passion. But where are the players showing their desire? Where are the players showing their, who wants to play for our club next year? Who wants a new contract? I'm not seeing it. If Paul Cook was coming into to my workplace and saying things like, come on, press it, that would be amazing. You know, you want to feel his enthusiasm. And yet our players are just going, apathy. Oh, I'm not sure we can read. Oh, I'm a bit scared of the ball. Oh, it's pressured. It's really hard pressure playing in front of no fans and getting paid $2 or $3 grand a week for playing football. Come on, show some bloody guts and some balls. I'm getting bored of watching Ipswich Town, Ross. I'm getting bored of it. It's getting on my nerves. It ruins my Saturdays. Frankly, poor old Ziggy, my dog, went and got his manhood, or part of them, chopped on Friday. And the poor lad, he was on my knee trying to watch the match, and he had his big cone on his head. And I was more interested in talking to the dog about the loss of his bollocks than I was watching the football.
I don't know where to go next, really. That's fantastic, John. As always. I want to go over to Ben to get his take on the game. I hope you guys enjoyed John's passionate. I love that passion. He's got more passion than all the squad combined. But Ben, your thoughts on this starting 11? We mentioned KVY, and then Freddie Sears out of nowhere. Hasn't been in the 18 for a while. Haven't seen him in training videos or pictures. So to see him starting was very interesting. Yeah, not he didn't play very well either, did he?
No, poor old Freddie. Keeps being played out of position. Had his best moments up front for Colchester. We bring him in with Murphy, plays up front, plays well. Then out of nowhere, he's left wing and he's stuck left wing forevermore. So a little bit of sympathy with him there, playing left wing out. I still believe out of position, but he could have done more to put a stamp on the game. You think, as you said, coming out from the cold, and you think you'd be eager and wanting to put your stamp on the team, keep your place, but he just looks so tentative on the ball, like so many of them. Almost like we talk about COVID and a virus, everyone's sick to death of that. Well, I'm sick to death of watching our players scared to run with the ball, scared to play a pass in behind, a 10, 15-yard positive pass. The amount of times we see our wingers go against the right back or left back, they've got the outstep of the boot, and then they come back inside, go back to, Dazelle or the centre-half or the full-back. Easy ball. You could put any of us on the pitch and we could receive the ball on the wing and we could go back to where it came from. I think what fans are looking to see, they're looking to see a few more risks being taken. All the big stats in the Premier League, they all point to those number one assist makers like your Bruno Fernandes. I remember Gerrard at the end of his career, he gave away the ball, and Fernandes, they give away the ball all the time. The reason why they do that is because 1 in 10 of those passes creates a goal or a big chance or whatever, and you have to take those risks to score goals. To answer your question more, Ross, the selection on Saturday, again, I've said numerous times before, I don't disagree with the 11 most of the time that go on the pitch, because I'm still blinded, obviously, to the fact I think we have a good squad. Week in, week out, I'm proven wrong. These players aren't doing enough. We maybe they're not good enough. I still think we could release 3 or 4, 5, 6 in the summer, and they'll go on and still have good careers. I think there's this malaise, this fog over the club that we've somehow got to shake. KVY, obviously, unfortunate. He played well for 45, looked good, bursting forward. But it's just about goals for us. We've got to score more goals. Whether that means playing 2 out front, I know that's what the fans are clamouring for. But Cook's got his ways. He's had so much success with that formation. He has obviously made it work for every other club he's been at. So why can't he work it for us? Why couldn't he get Freddie working? Perhaps Freddie was the only player he could work those double shift training sessions that Cook wanted all the rest of the lads to do. Perhaps Freddie's fit as a fiddle and that's why he was playing. But there's so many issues in the team. I'm going to quickly go through them for the 11 and pass over. But Holy, I don't don't think he's quick enough. He doesn't look alert enough. He looks too lethargic for me. I just think I want more from my goalkeeper. And I'm putting our standards high here. I'm saying this is top of League One I want here. So Holy, no, not good enough at the moment. KDY, yes, injury problems. We want him. Chambers and Enciala, look, they kept the clean sheet for us. I'm not going to complain about them. I'm going to move on. Left back Wards, he did okay, but too slow. Dazelle, so much time on the ball. He gets a free roll a lot of the time. He barely got closed down all game. The amount of times he gave away the ball or miscontrolled with so much time on the ball, I want him to do well. Us fans, he's one of our own. You're imploring him to be better, but he's getting worse every week. Whether that's fatigue or, whatever it is, but I'm calling a spade here. I'm saying what I saw. I think he was our most wasteful player on Saturday. He just, so many options to go forward and he plays the easy pass. You've got to have more. Bishop moving slightly further forward. So much talent. Any goals, any assists ever, please, Teddy? Since, the first few games of the season. Again, got to do more for what our club deserves, what the fans deserves. You've got to do more. Then moving up the pitch, Judge, does he get played in the right position? Is he number 10? Is he out wide? Again, with Freddie. And Norwood just doesn't get any service. I just think we should be getting more. Cook saying we need people to stand up. That's exactly what we need. If we're going to make anything out of this season, which I still have an inkling we could, the starting 11 on Saturday was fine. A couple of changes here and there. We just need players to stand up and start creating chances.
Well said as always as well, Ben. And I'm going to go over to you, Darren, later, because we spoke after the game. So I want to get your fresh thoughts on it anyway. You've had 24 hours. We're recording this on Sunday night. You've had 24 hours to think back about that game. But I'm going to go over to good old Matt to get his take on the game. A positive, a clean sheet against Wigan, but 11th in League One now. In a few words, describe how you felt watching that 90 minutes of football.
Well, hi, Ross. Thanks for having me back. Blimey, that was frustrating. It was like a really bad game of chess played by two people who had never played chess before. It was, and Wigan were better than us, and that's the frustrating and concerning thing as well. I know it's going to be very hard for the rest of the season playing against these teams that have got a lot of. They've got a lot at stake, which is, I think that's a really patronising, condescending view as a football fan. And again, it's something that I've said before, we are where we are. We've got no divine right to be any higher or indeed lower than where we actually are at the moment. But, as per usual, I've digressed. Saturday, it's just, you just want somebody to stand up, show some bollocks and take the game by the scruff of the neck. And there was, apart from Norwood, who gets absolutely no service, there's nobody willing to make those runs, to put their foot in. I think the only time where people do put their foot in is our half-assed attempt at tackling. Last season, your boy, Guion Brian Edwards, is just, gets booked so many times because he can't tackle for toffee. And again, we see we've got absolutely no bollocks in that midfield when Flynn Downs isn't there. Dazelle, Bishop. We may as well just have a couple of papier-mâché lampshades in there, because I think they'd probably do more if they got the ball. Like Ben said, Dazelle, he's like a quarterback with a free roll. So he's like an attacking midfielder if he was further up the pitch, but he's not. He's sat really, really deep. Hello, Cookie. Coming into shot there with John. But it's just so wasteful. I lost count. So yesterday I lost count the amount of times that Dazelle got rid of the ball. But I don't think you can, or not got rid of the ball, lost possession of the ball. I don't think you can be too harsh on the lad. Yes, we'll want him to do well. Yes, he's one of our own, so to speak. But he's been given a free ride for too long. And yes, this is probably his first actual proper season where he's starting week in, week out. And I think the likes of Dazelle and Bishop, they're the players that our former management team were referring to when they were talking about, you can't put too much pressure on them. They're playing a lot of football. They're paid to do that. I'm not going to go off on a rant about how grossly offensive it is for people to be played professional sport. The minimum we expect as Ipswich Town fans is effort and endeavour. And whilst on the one hand, I'm not going to say they couldn't be asked, they couldn't be bothered. I don't believe that. These guys make a good living, and they must look forward to a Saturday or a Tuesday, whenever the game is, just as much as us. But did we play like a group of players who are all playing for their future? I mean, wake up and smell the coffee, guys. The free agent pool in the summer is going to be absolutely massive. These guys aren't going to be walking into championship teams commanding, 10, 15, 20 grand a week. Like I've said before, they're going to be scrambling around at Cambridge United and Colchester, Kings Lynn Town. They might be after an attacking midfielder that might be able to put in 2 or 3 decent performances out of 40 in a season. It's just team of strangers every single week. It's like, come on, guys, let's go to Ipswich bus station, get a load of randomers, stick them in a shirt. They've probably got more cohesion. It's like Jon was saying, it's so frustrating. We expect more. And yesterday, I put my poor wife and kids through this. I basically clear them out the house for 2 hours on a Saturday. I get my living room set up. I pay my tenner for the away games because I get the home games for free as a season ticket holder. Get my beers out. It's just bollocks. Yesterday, it's embarrassing. And the most annoying thing about yesterday, we didn't wear those cool yellow socks with that Barcelona kit, because I think we look flipping awesome when we wear the yellow socks. I don't care that they're yellow. I don't care about other teams that wear them. I couldn't give 2 flying fish kebabs about that sort of thing. But yeah, it's lovely that our players are coming out saying, "Oh, we've got so many creative players." Have we? Creative players create things. They get the ball, they pass it, they make chances, they pass it into channels where they know that their mate is running into, because he does it every time at training, whether it be a single session or a double session. These sessions where allegedly people have been shouted at. Ooh. Oh dear, how sad, never mind. New man comes in and says, "You lot are supposed to be the tits. Let's fucking see it. Come on." But hey,
Wow.
we've got some cup finals, and we've got some cup finals, and if we ever play like that in a cup final, I'm done.
Oh, wow, Matt, well said as always.
That's me. Bring back Gus Uhlenbeek.
Yeah, I'm sure he's very fit at the moment. He's in the gym a lot, so I'm sure he can still do a job at some stage.
He's fit as a butcher's dog.
Yes,
anyway,
yes.
I'll stop ranting. You need to go to Darren. He's got some more interesting stuff to say than me.
No, but no, that's
I named my cat after Gus when I was very young. I named my cat after Gus, R.I.P. He actually did pass away, so he's not so fit, but he was a tremendous cat. Just to add to that.
Yeah,
sorry, Darren.
And he did. Well, and Gus also had a fantastic song as well, didn't he? With the to the Robin Hood theme. I'm not going to go into it now.
we're singing at the out for the outro. We'll sing it. Well, Darren, Matt has segued into different things there about the players, and that is what I was going to sort of get you to focus on. We've not had the new manager bounce, and the players. Did we overrate them? When we came into League One, we said we've got a fantastic squad. Second season in League One, they've done the same. The players just not stepping up. They're not fighting for their futures. 10 cup finals to play. Is who's going to step up?
Yeah, it's there's something that has dawned on me last weekend. Actually, is perhaps the truth is our squad isn't good enough. The players that are here getting paid a lot of money are just not good enough. Perhaps over the years we've just overrated them. Mick McCarthy, obviously, his strategy was to bring in star players who improved our squad. So we had Ipswich Town players who kind of made up the squad, but our best players were all loans. And then when we haven't had these brilliant loan signings, we've then got relegated and then finished, mid-table in League One. That's the reality of where we are. And like we say, Paul Cook coming in, he's a real, old school football manager, likes to, get his points across, a lot of energy, a lot of passion. And you would not see that by the displays that we've had, with Gillingham and whatever it was, Plymouth, Portsmouth, all of those games. They're just not, they're not stepping up, are they? They just haven't. And after the game on Saturday, I think Paul Cook's interview, he absolutely nailed it. I've just got this written down here. He said, everyone looks like they're waiting for someone else to do something. I've never seen a team like that. And that's exactly what we see. I made the point after the game that we have midfielders who all want to be in possession, but we don't have anyone who wants to create something. They just want to have the ball. So that's why we always, the last 3 years, we've had this just big gap with one up front, which I hate, and then just a load of midfielders. And that's why we haven't created anything, for 3 years. It's not been enjoyable, has it, to watch Ipswich play for quite some time, really. So in terms of the players, it could be a really exciting summer because there's going to be a load of players go. I think we'll probably still see, just from a financial point of view, I think Jackson will probably still be kept. We'll take up the option and then probably sell him. I think Delancian's in the same boat, isn't he? Although I'd love Delancian to come back, he'd give us, a good cover at least. But yeah, there's going to be a load of players going this summer, and I think that will give Cook an opportunity to bring in his players. But the stat I never realised until over the last month or so, when all the details have gone out about the contracts, that what was it, 51 players, something like that, professional players. No, I know 52. So I know a lot of them are academy players, right? So they're maybe they not all of those count, but surely that's far too many. Surely that's just too many players. So it's going to be I think, to sum it up, Saturday was just another example of just not being good enough. We don't create anything. We've got no width. We can't cross the ball. I feel really sorry for Norwood because God knows, I bet he trots out on a Saturday thinking, shit, what's gonna happen here? And he runs around and he's probably still not fit, probably. I wouldn't have thought. I think he's still not 100%, but he doesn't, not much happens. And when the ball goes out to Guion or whoever it goes on the left, is he expecting, is he going to be making that run every time because he knows where the ball's going to go? He doesn't, because most of the time the ball's going to go out for a throw-in or out for a goal kick. So, but everything that Paul Cook has said after every game is spot on. He absolutely gets it. I can't think there's many Town fans that will disagree with anything he's saying. And I think the fact that Paul Cook is saying exactly what we can see and the players aren't doing it on the pitch, I think that just leaves us to one thing, what will be that most of those players that are on the pitch at the minute aren't going to be there next year.
Definitely, that's a big talking point on this pod, and I'm sure the next few weeks is, these players. And, we've got 10 cup finals. I hate saying that phrase, but it's what's getting called. We've got to play. Of course, these players got to step up if they want to get in the playoffs. I said this season was over after the goalless draw against Northampton. I still think it is over. The question that we mentioned earlier in the pod about who is our player of the season. Normally, this is the time of month, the time, where we in the candidates for the player of the season. I want to go to all of you guys quickly now to get your player of the season candidate. John, starting off with you, who's your nomination?
Well, I saw Mark Tuxford had done a tweet earlier on today about the very same thing, and my first response was, "Can we roll it over to next season and have two?" Because I'm struggling to think. Sometimes you want the season. I said before we started, just off camera, and off mic, that sometimes you have a season when you think, oh, but they've been a really good player in their position, but maybe that player scored the goals, but that player made them, or that goalkeeper kept us in so many games. And it's tough to decide. It's the opposite this year. It's tough to decide because who realistically has stood up and been counted week in, week out? Now, if the season stopped at the end of September, we might have said Bishop and Edwards, but, looking at Saturday, Bishop and Edwards weren't good enough, were they? And they've been nowhere near that form since probably the Blackpool game. Wilson's done well since he's come back in, but can you really give James Wilson player of the season? I don't know how many games he's actually played. I would have to check that up, but it can't be much more than 20 at tops, I would say. Yeah. Could you give Thomas Holy? No, thank you. Not for me. What about James Norwood? Well, by his own standards, he hasn't scored enough goals and he's been out. Honestly, there is no candidates. You could argue Luke Chambers has played the most games, but, Jesus Christ, it's a real depressing state, isn't it? That we can't think of a player who, I might be missing somebody. I don't think I am. I'm struggling. Toto or James Wilson might have to be up there, but I don't. That's not good enough. And I think stepping away from that, because we don't have to decide that. And actually, who gives them flying monkeys about it? But the reality is, it says our players haven't been good enough over a period of time. Now, you can accept a winger to come and go sometimes, can't you? Come and go, and sometimes have 10, 15 games when they're really on it, then drift out and then they come back in. I can cope with that, but I'm struggling to think of anybody who has had 2 or 3 games in a row consistently positive and then done it the next month, and that's, maybe we have over-egged how good our squad is. But there again, I go back to this kind of point, and I know you can't live on the past and that, but I saw people like Amir Hughes in the Championship play brilliantly. I saw people like John Nolan, I've mentioned it on this pod before, at Villa. At West Brom, he was the best player on the pitch. My West Brom mate, Pete, came up, he said, "Who's that ginger lad in midfield who scored the goal? He's really cracking." And so these players are potentially capable of doing better, but what they're not doing is it consistently. Gwion Edwards at the beginning of the season was the type of winger that we're talking about, wide man creator. But, you look at him on Saturday and he was miles off. I'm not just talking about having an off day. Like Freddie Sears, and bless him, I don't wish Freddie any harm, but he's not good enough right now at all. So, player of the season, no idea. I would probably just say, let's not have one this year. Let's not embarrass ourselves. And good job we're not doing a lap of appreciation at the end of the season. My God, what a waste of time that would be. Absolute waste of time. So let's just. If I was Cook, I would just say, listen, not for me. let's not bother this year because you haven't been good enough. And then you look at people like Gwion Edwards and Teddy Bishop. How I wish Flynn Downs had been fit all season, because I think with Downs in the midfield, someone like Bishop or Dazelle would stand a better chance of doing their best bit of their game. But the reality is he hasn't been, and we've missed him massively. We missed Downs. Wolfenden's nowhere near. It's just, if we hadn't just appointed Paul Cook, I would be at the lowest point, I think, as an Ipswich Town fan. I've been for years and years and years, because actually I like everybody's been saying, I like what Cook says. I like I believe him. His track record's really good, so I want to give him the absolute fair crack of the whip. But who's standing up? You would probably say out that team right now, who I would keep right now, and I've done this conversation before, you keep KVY if you could get him fit, absolutely. I'd probably keep Wilson. I'd probably keep Norwood. Well, I would keep Norwood because he's one of our best players. And you'd probably keep Teddy Bishop and Guion Edwards as backup, but they're only there because you can't clear out everybody. And that's a real sad state. And I'm still going to stop defending Luke Chambers now because I think I'm agreeing with people that, they need to go as well. And he said 2 years ago he wanted to be the captain to lead us back up, but it's not going to happen, is it?
No. Well,
I think it's just to jump in there. I think the interesting thing about Chambers is if we didn't know who Chambers was, and we got this because I say this because this is what happens to me in Championship Manager, right? So you go when you do all your filters and you search for pace, positioning, leadership, all that, then you get presented with players you got rid of, and you think they're good. If someone said to us, "Oh, we've got this club captain. It was a club captain for however it is 9 years. Players, player of the year so many times, always fit, plays 99% of the games every season." Then we would all probably think solid. This would be a good signing. But he's. I think he's taken a lot of the brunt for how crap we've been over the last 3 seasons. He's not a right back. So that's a bit, we've all been judging him as a terrible right back. And I think the first 5 games of the season, I think he was our best player, really, in my opinion. And on Saturday, I thought he did all right on Saturday, actually, alongside Toto. But I think mentally, I agree with you, John. I think it might be a good idea just to, new broom or whatever the phrase is, then that there's certain influential people that need to go. Because I think he's reached a point now, like a lot of the players have, it doesn't hurt anymore. The results don't hurt them. They aren't absolutely beside themselves that we've drawn when we should have won. When there's a goal going, I've said this before, when we concede a goal, you don't see people having a go at someone, waving their hands on their head. They just turn around and go back to, ready for kickoff again. So there's that. The coach can't give you that. It has to come from the players and the pride that they take in themselves. And they're just not doing it. I think half of them are checked out. I think they see their future somewhere else next season. And I think some of them are going through the motions, especially your boy Edwards.
Yeah, I feel like I should have called him my boy, but I've stuck to that now. It was just the start of the season. He was just on fire, and and then the syndrome of Ipswich Town caught onto him. But Ben, it's a hard one, isn't it, to pick the player of the season candidate. Some people will be thinking this is too early to decide because we've still got 10 games to go, but it's difficult, isn't it? Andre Dizelle, he's had his first full proper season of playing games, but then the last few weeks has just not been the same, hasn't he?
Well, I've had my bit on Andre from the Wigan game. Again, like I said, I implore him to be everything we want him to be that 35, 40 minutes we saw at Birmingham first, home to Birmingham first day of the season 3 years ago. That's what we want from Andre. And he will show it again. I have no doubt. But this year, he's not player of the year. I do think there's an outstanding candidate, actually. And everyone's going to think, who the bloody hell am I talking about? I think they should give it to the fans. No joke at all. I think we've actually had the most horrendous year as a society, and I think actually the club, although people say, "Oh, it's an absolute cop out, there's no one to give it to anyway," or why don't they actually give us some sort of reward to the fans? As a 12th man, as a token, because as Darren and John said, otherwise you're passing it on a year because there isn't any player to give it to. So, for a good bit of PR, why not give it to us fans? Like Jon said, he's paid a tenner every week. Matt said the same, a tenner every week, apart from his season ticket, which is free. I've done the same. Every week you pay a tenner because you believe that this could be the beginning of something to cling on to. And basically we're watching dust, little crumbs of possibly something. Oh God, we had a shot target in the first half, like on Saturday. That's what we're clinging on to as fans. And perhaps it would be a good move to make us Player of the Year. I'd accept it. If they needed someone for an acceptance speech, I could do it on behalf of everybody. But apart from that, there isn't anybody. There is, Chambers actually, and I know he's a polarizing figure at the club, but I actually still believe he does give 110%. And on Saturday, I think I tweeted, say, yes, he turns like a tank, but there are plenty of centre halves in League One who turn like a tank. And if they get one-on-one with a very quick forward, they get beaten for pace. But usually have got a good team or a good goalkeeper around them to stop them scoring, so they don't look so isolated. He's not a right back, but overall, I think he's a good bloke and a good captain. So I've kind of given you two answers. All right.
No, that's I wasn't expecting that, but that's fantastic. And Matt raised his hand to get a point on that. So Matt, over to you then. What did you want to say?
Cracking shout there from Ben with regards to giving it to the fans. It's a very European thing. I mean, anybody that knows a little bit about me, I follow German football. Big old supporter of Borussia Mönchengladbach. Ironically, they're called the foals, the horses, a little bit like Ipswich. But it's like, they should retire the number 12 shirt. I think Donasian had that. And don't issue 12 to anybody because it's the fans. They do that in Sweden, in the Swedish league as well. Because I follow that as well. There you go. I've actually got, I can't think of who should be Player of the Year, but I have got here by the medium of mobile internet web, a list of all of our man of the matches. If you'd like me to run through some, I can run through them all if you want.
Why not? Why not?
We'll fluff out this shitty pillow of a segment, and we'll make it comfortable enough to lie on. Shall we do that?
Yep.
So, Sears and Darber, Bishop, Cornell, Nolan, Dazelle, Enciala, Dobra, Edwards, Chambers, Lancaster, Bishop, Holy, Bishop, McGavin, Brown. Oh, that was against Crawley. McGavin, Norwood, Drinan, as I'm going to call him. Cornell, the sweet Welsh Prince, number 2. Dobra, Cornell, McGuinness, Norwood, McGuinness. Thomas, remember him on loan? Not seen him since this award. Holy, Kenlock, Judge, Holy, Wilson, Norwood, Wilson, Enciala, Wilson, Downs, Wilson, Norwood, Enciala. So there you go. They're all there. Let's talk about Thomas Holy. Tall enough to polish the top of the Blackpool Tower, as BBC Radio Lancashire reminded us about 17 times during that. He's tall enough to polish the top of the Eiffel Tower. Well, yeah, but he is lacking in a lot of areas, and as somebody that dabbled in goalkeeping a little bit, he should be more commanding. He should be more vocal. He's played in England long enough to know English, and he speaks it pretty well anyway. But he has had some great moments where he has kept us in games. And I know people don't like him. It's a bit like this irrational, I don't like Chambers because of this. And it's like, don't be ridiculous. And it's the same with Holy, some of the stick that he gets. But yeah, Jon.
I was just going to say, are you going to give it to Thomas Holy or Tony Holy? Because he was called Tony, wasn't he? By the same commentator,
Say hello to my tall friend. Not little friend. Say hello to my Massive man of a friend. We could give it to Tony Holy. Why not? He needs to be, whether he's here next season or he gets sold to Carlisle United, I don't know. He needs to be Tony. No doubt. Needs to be Tony. Who was the last decent Tony we had? And don't say Tony Dinning.
Tony Dinning.
Don't say Tony Dinning.
Has there been any other Tonys? Has there been
Tony
any other
Totti?
Tonys?
Did we
Anthony
have someone called?
Wordsworth.
And
Yeah.
yes, yeah. Was there someone called Hughes? Tony Hughes?
Tony
Yeah.
Hughes. Loved him. Big number. Yeah. Great centre half.
Yep.
On the time I was mascot for Ipswich, Marco Gabbiadini, the Sunderland striker, punched Tony Hughes in the face to get sent off. There you go.
So we need photographic proof of you being a mascot at Ipswich Town, John.
Yeah, that will come. That will come.
Excellent.
I have to declare an interest. I actually went to Tony Humes' wedding because my wife used to work with his wife.
Oh well.
So, yeah, his family, John, you'll be interested to hear, are from the same part of the northeast, the Kingdom of Northumbria, like yourself. So yeah, are we the lads? And all that kind of thing.
One of my first games as a kid watching Ipswich on the telly, it was against Man United in the FA Cup, and Tony Humes scored the goal that put us 1-0 up before they beat us 2-1, I think, if I remember correctly. He was a good Tony. I'll back Tony Humes. There we go. Best Tony.
There we go. There's the award. We've decided one player award anyway.
Ben, I saw you put your hand up. Did you want to add something?
I was just going to agree with Matt, really, and just say, if it does go to Holy, along with the defence goalkeeper, our defensive record's actually pretty good. If we could stick the ball in the back of the net, stick the ball any bloody where. Don't
Anywhere will
stick
do.
it somewhere.
Anywhere will do.
It's got to go to a defender or a goalkeeper. Like I said, we've got a good defensive record, so Holy wouldn't be a bad shout. If we're all trying to fall on somebody, Holy's our man, maybe.
John?
Yeah, just wanted to say I'm going to throw a little bit of optimism, right? We think we're, 36 games into a 46-game league season. So we've got 10 games left. Why don't we say there is going to be somebody who's going to revolutionise our season, who's going to play well for 8 out of those 10 or 9 out of those 10 and be okay on the other one, and have that option to suddenly be the man that we go, God, they got better as the season went on, and they were the thing that got us to the mighty 7th place finish, or got us to the mighty 6th place before we got beaten in the 2-legged playoff semi-final. Because realistically, we're probably aiming for 5th or 6th now, aren't we? Realistically. And I'm saying aiming, and that's a sad reflection in itself. But maybe Teddy Bishop, or maybe Guion Edwards, maybe Keenan Bennett is going to come from somewhere. I don't know. I'm trying to have a little bit of optimism still that somebody is going to come and go, right, I want to play for Ipswich Town next season. I want a contract. I want to be in Paul Cook's starting 11 next season. I'm going to make these next 10 games count. And surely one person has to take an opportunity. Surely.
Do you know what? One player that's coming to mind, and he's just recently been playing a few games, is Dobra. Could Dobra possibly... Could he step up? He's been wanting to fight and get first-team football, and Cook seems like he likes him, so could Dobra be that creative force that we need to create chances?
Yeah,
Why
I hope
not?
so. Yeah, hope so. For me, Dobra, it looks like he just looks little, doesn't he? When he comes on. Yeah, a little bit. So, but if he's quick enough, he can just, it doesn't never stop Messi, did it? But not that I'm comparing Dobra with Messi, obviously. But, he does look a bit small and a bit easy just to you just stay there, little man, So the one name I'd put forward, which has just come to my head and no one's mentioned it yet, based on where he was at the end of last season, and apart from a run of 3 games where he gave away penalties, is Toto. Because at the end of last season, we all expected him to go. We thought he was off. You know, he'd been dumped out to Bolton on loan. Did great at the start of the season. Then he obviously hit a dodgy patch and, as I say, gave away penalties every time. Just started pushing everyone over. And then, you know, how many clean sheets have we had in the last 8 games? Like 5 in the last 8 or something like that, you know? And Toto's played in all of them. I mean, I love Wilson. I think Wilson is our best centre-half. But you can't give him an award when he's only played 10 games or something, 20, you know. So, yeah, Toto. I'm not a fan of his, by the way. But, you know, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, that's enough of that. Because none of them deserve it.
Darren, I make you right. Just looking at the games from the start of the year, we don't concede a lot.
No.
Yes, we do concede. We're always going to concede goals. We're Ipswich Town. It's like we start with like a 1 goal handicap each game, which is kind of shit, really, when you can't score more than 1 goal in a game. But yeah, you could give him the patronised Most Improved Player award. You know, myself in the Suffolk and Essex youth combination won that quite a few games before fading away into obscurity, winning Clubman of the Season, which is like, oh, you did well on the bench today, Matt. But yeah, I just wonder at what point kind of Paul Cook, because you heard it yesterday in his post-match press conference, that the automatic promotion talk has gone, and you know he still firmly believes that we should be aiming for the playoffs. So he's kind of, you know, what was it, his 6th game in charge yesterday, and he's kind of like, he's stepped back a little bit, and I think he's trying to manage our expectations. But you know, he had a bit of time out before he took over as Ipswich Town manager, and you know, I'm 100% behind him, and I firmly believe that he is going to instill some really, really good times. We just have to be so patient. But during his downtime, because apparently he's been talking to Evans for like 18 months, 2 years. They've been in contact. He must have been keeping a close eye. And it's very rare, you know, other than the Cowleys, you know, people taking over blindly. You know, he would have done his research, and he must have been able to see, because we've been seeing it for a while, haven't we? Where we've just, how many times have, you know, on this pod alone and the game day, you know, we've been talking about just the lack of effort and just the, you know, waiting for, you know, oh, somebody else to do it. And I forget who mentioned it earlier. Was it? I think it's Jon. You know, you've got possession, but who's going to do anything with it? You know, these stats mean absolutely bugger all if you can't do anything with it. But Ben, over to you.
I was
great
just going to say, like you said, in regard to the lack of effort, which we've all commented on, I think, like you said, on the pod and every other pod, or I mean, there's no other pods other than this one. Anything other written about Ipswich Town, everyone says, is there a lack of effort, you know, amongst the players? Perhaps, as was maybe alluded to this week, it's not a lack of effort, it's a complete lack of fitness. Perhaps. I'm not saying definitively that's the reason, but Paul Cook wanted to work those double sessions this week, and it was well publicised that the players couldn't do it. And Cook volunteered that information to the fans, which I believe, if you're volunteering information like that to the rest of the world, then there's a reason for it. So maybe we're just not as fit as we'd like to be. Maybe that's why. Maybe that as much as they want to give the effort, they're actually not physically capable because of injuries, lack of pre-season, you know, gaps in the program, whatever. I'm just putting it out there that perhaps it's not an effort thing; it's a fitness thing.
Okay, Jon.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Ross, that maybe Paul Hurst had a point, because wasn't he didn't he come in and say that we weren't fit enough, And you know, Chambers went and had a little word and said, you know, he's fallen out with people. That's kind of what's meant to be happening a little bit now. A manager who's probably got a bit more clout than Paul Hurst because of his record, a bit more established as a man, you know, is saying, "Oh, guys, you're not fit enough." And yes, some players have, you know, KVY, Teddy Bishop, Dazelle. They've all had long injuries there, haven't they? But we have to look at what is going on at fitness at our club because we've had too many long injuries. And if we can't, you know, was it 2 games ago we said we played well for 20 minutes? The next game we said we play well for 40 minutes. We need to be playing well for 75, 80, 90, 95, 100 minutes, don't you? To consistently. So, and I'm going to be careful with what I say here because I might tie myself up in a knot. I almost feel, and I say almost, feel a little bit sorry for Paul Lambert. Because maybe the squad totally let him down. He spoke absolute tosh and told us that they were all brilliant, which perhaps if he just said, you know, they need a bit of help, like he said for the whole of his first season, we need a bit of help, which is pretty much what Paul Cook's kind of saying, isn't he? I'm stuck with what I've got and I'm going to try to make them feel good about themselves until half of them go. That's what Paul Cook's kind of rhetoric is at the moment without actually saying that because he doesn't want to insult them, you know, because he's a decent man. But I'm sure he's telling some people those harsh words behind closed doors. It just feels like we're at a real low point. And maybe Paul Hurst was right. I don't think I've said that out loud previously. And maybe Paul Lambert wasn't all that bad. God, have I banged my head? I don't know. But, you know, it's a funny old conversation, this. I didn't know I was going to stick up for Paul Lambert. I feel a bit ill.
Go ahead, Matt. I normally find people who mentions Lambert, but I'll let you get away with that one because I think it was I think it worked well in that segment. But Matt, go ahead.
John, you might be feeling bad, my friend, but just think about your dog that's got no bollocks anymore. It's a strange one, vindicating Hurst and Lambert, isn't it? But I just wanted to get back to this double session thing that we've been reading about. And hearing about as well. I mean, I've kind of got an idea what a double session is, and I don't know why I'm doing it in like film voiceover, but I would actually like somebody to clarify what a double session means. Is it like, lads, you're training in the morning and then you're going away, you're having some chicken, rice and beans, and then you're coming back and you're training again? Because I'm not being funny. I go to work. I get the train at 5:30 in the morning. I get to work at 7. I get on the train again at 4 o'clock, and I'm not home till 6. And there's quite a lot of work involved, kind of in that middle bit. And if these guys are like, if these guys are like, they've only ever been used to one session, are you telling me that they're literally getting to Playford Road at 8 o'clock, training till midday, and then fucking off wherever they go and whatever they do with their heart monitors to go do whatever for the rest of the day? Because if that has been the case, then that's terrible. No wonder we look so tired in games, don't we? After an hour, people just look absolutely shagged. And these are guys that should be able to absolutely piss the bleep test. You know, they should all be, you know, like, what's it? Did Downs and Wolfenden? I think they were the only ones that finished it, and Nolan as well. But, you know, we're hardly doing this high press intensity thing where we're running like 20 kilometers a game. You know, I would like some clarification from Paul Cook, and maybe like Heathy or Hutchie could ask, you know, at the next press conference, Paul, you've mentioned double sessions. Bono would really like to know what that means. Because this whole double session, it's like, what is a double session? Is it like beers on a Saturday lunchtime and then beers afterwards as well? I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I wouldn't complain at that.
No, I think if all of that is true, that the players are complaining about it, or some of the players are playing about it, I think that pretty much sums it up. You know, if you're working somewhere, your contract runs out in a couple of months, you've got a new manager coming in. If you really want to be involved, you want every second of chance to show this new guy, you need to pay me the money, match what I was on before, because none of them are going to get paid the same amount of money on a new contract that they were on in the championship. So if any of them are moaning about it, I mean, it's probably the strikers. Whenever I used to play football, it was always the forwards that used to moan. None of them wanted to train. I'm very defensive, so I just did what I was told to do. So it's probably all the strikers, probably. But it doesn't say much, does it? We're at the crucial part of the season. Do you want to go up? Let's do some extra training to give us the best chance, and then whinge about it. That doesn't say a lot, does it? So. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go over to Ben quickly because he put his hand up. Also, I can't wait for a double session. Going when the pubs are open, get me down there. Double sessions. Yeah, let's do it. Many points to be had. But yeah, Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, just to sort of use that as a segue, Ross. If I went for a double session at the pub, I don't think I'd get through half a session at the moment. I'm definitely out of practice. Maybe 1 or 2 pints, and I'd have to leave. But in fairness to the players, just to sort of, as much as we don't really want to defend them, my understanding is that the double session is exactly what Matt said. That you work a couple of hours, maybe 3 in the morning. You have the lunch in the canteen, or whatever are able to do that at the moment, and they come back and work another couple of hours, maybe on shape or something else. But it's not the case that they didn't want to do it. It's the case that obviously they wear the heart monitors and stuff, and the results were telling them that they weren't able to work at the levels that are normally expected. I think if they're working either what they expect from a double session or whatever it may be. So it wasn't a case that they weren't doing it. It was a case that they couldn't work to the standard that it was worthwhile. So they basically just gave up because it was like, well, actually, we're looking at you and you're not doing the sprints as fast as you could this morning. What's the point? Let's pack up and go home. So again, that sort of emphasized my point that whatever we've been doing in the past, sorry, John, I know you just defended Lambert. You may be right. In one way to defend him slightly, but he's obviously doing absolutely F all on the fitness side of things because we're not fit enough. I think that shows. I think that's what Cook was saying, is that the players, they want to do it. They're not saying they're not going to do it, but they weren't fit enough to do it. So that's the point I want to make. They were there. Their bodies were there, their minds were there, but they weren't good enough.
That's probably why the fitness coach went on gardening leave because he wasn't doing his job, Jim Henry. So there we go. John, I saw you put your hand up, and we'll get on to, of course, the 10 Cup finals.
I'll do a seamless segue for you then. I'm going to say that I apologise for standing up for Paul Lambert. He was rubbish and he should have been sacked months ago. So I just had a bit of a funny turn there. I apologise for anything I may have said. I'm feeling better now. But what I was looking at, Ross, is, like we're saying, we need to go and seize our moment and maybe somebody will shine. I was looking at Bristol Rovers, who is our next opponent. You see what I've done here? Like linking it in for you. And they've in March they've won 1 game, drawn 1 game, and lost 6. Right? They're second bottom in the league, I think, and we're playing them at home. Okay. Can you tell what's going to happen? No, but honestly, I must have said it on various shows with you over the course of the season, but the next game's always so important, isn't it? If we do not get 3 points at home to the second bottom team who have lost 6 games out their last 8, what are we going to do? So, it's that simple, because a draw away at Wigan suddenly becomes a better result if you follow with your 3 points at home. And if you draw your away games and win your home games, that gives you a decent return. The reality is we have to win our next game. And if we don't win our next game, we are giving ourselves the biggest tall order. We're all doubtful now, aren't we? Ross, you said earlier on that you didn't think we'd make the playoffs. I still think we're going to finish either 6th or 7th, and it's on a knife edge. But it's kind of this Friday, Good Friday, we have to turn up. We have to win our personal battles individually, then collectively, we have to be better than them. And was it about 5 months ago? I said we shouldn't be scared of Hull Cities. We shouldn't be scared of Sunderland. We shouldn't, but my God, we shouldn't be scared of Bristol Rovers. And you know, when we say a bit of the cliche, like the 10 cup finals or the 10, or we're playing 6 teams, or we've got to play Wimbledon, who are in the bottom 6. So we're playing 7 of the bottom 6, if you like, 7 games against the bottom 6, or they've got a lot to play for. Surely we have. The players have got to play for the future. They've got to play for the club badge, and they've got to play to get in the bloody playoffs. We've got a lot to play for, so let's not be kidding ourselves that they've a club who are struggling at the bottom of the league have more to play for than us. We've got everything to play for. We want to get out of this league, and we want to do it sooner rather than later. I don't think it's going to be this season, but I'd still love to finish strongly, and I'd still love to show something and have some of those players step up to the mark and say to Cook, I want to be part of your plans. So, you know, Bristol Rovers, 6 losses, 1 draw, 1 win. You can't ask for a better fixture, and then you suddenly get that. But as an Ipswich Town fan, which when I said those stats to you, Ross, you gave a big sigh because you can see what potentially could be coming down the road. And that probably says a lot about how we feel, that a team like Ipswich, who are in, 11th, are fearful of playing the second bottom team. I rest my case, my lad.
Yeah. It's just that the record, we always give that record away. We always go, yeah, they haven't won in like 10. They haven't won an away game in a whole year. Here you go, beat us at Portman Road. I want to go over to you, Darren, next, but I want to quickly just rattle out the fixtures. So Bristol Rovers, as Jon said, on Good Friday. Then away trip to Rochdale on Easter Monday. And we've got 6 away games in total for the next 10 games. And our away record is not great, is it? It's not great at all this season. Then we've got MK Dons at home. AFC Wimbledon away. We'll be going to Plough Lane for the first time. Their new ground, or their new revamped ground. Then, you know, it's Charlton, Northampton away. Then AFC Wimbledon again at home. So we've got to play them twice. Then we've got Swindon away. And then Shrewsbury away. And then Fleetwood at home, the final game of the season. Of course, we'll probably find out where we're going to be when we turn into May for them 3 final games. But Darren, those 10 games, 10 cup finals, oh, God's sake. You're taking all those. As Jon said, Bristol Rovers, that's the game we need to get the win to kick off that winning run, hopefully.
Well, maybe this is where we can start to put some positivity into this pod, because it's we're a bit lopsided on the old positive negative seesaw at the moment. We should be absolutely spanking Bristol Rovers. We should be looking forward to this game on Friday, and we should just be tearing them apart, dominating the game, chances left, right, and centre, and that's what should be happening. And another quote that I saw that gave me a lot of optimism as well from Paul Cook was that he said he was desperate to play Jackson through the middle with Norwood, and that he would not be rigid with his formation for the rest of the season. He's going to do whatever needs to be, done. So I think all of us have been saying about Jackson and Norwood, we all criticise Lambert for not playing them two together. They did play together briefly on Saturday and didn't really do anything. But your question, Ross, was about all the future fixtures. Yeah, let's batter Bristol Rovers. Let's have a go. I want to see us for the next 10 games attack. I don't want to see two holding midfielders sitting there in front of the back 4. Let's have it. Yeah, that's attack. 2 people, 3 people, 4 people in the box. That's put pressure on the other teams and have a go. All of our players need to be better in the attacking third of the pitch. Dazelle, Mick Mills has mentioned it loads of times that he would like to see Dazelle playing further forward, and he can use this, this touch and this passing that we all can see that he has. He doesn't damage anyone when he's taking it off the back 4 and passing it out wide. That doesn't damage anyone. The where our defenders out, because I do love him. He's just graceful. I love how he touches it and passes it. It's awesome. When he gets the ball, what are his options? If unfortunately none of us are in the ground, and you can always see the game better, can't you? When you're at the ground, who's making a run? We can't see that on iFollow, but I would bet my mortgage on the fact that when he gets the ball, there's no one doing anything. They're all just stood there marked. So, but yeah, the rest of the season, it's unfortunate. There's so many away games, and that we haven't been able to capitalise on our home games, to this point this season. But I just want to see us have a go. Let's have a go. This is the Ipswich Town ways. We're not defensive. We've never been defensive. We're not a team that soaks up pressure and dominates possession like Lambert wanted it to. We're a team that has a go. And if any of you, that incredible, Ross, were you part of the 2000, the cup, the promotion season documentary that was put together?
No.
Do you have your hands? That was very honest of you. But when you see, when you see how we used to play with width, and Jim Magilton was so demanding. Any of you that went to a game, Jim Magilton was just moaning at everyone, screaming, just keeping everyone on their toes, and we have no one like that at all in our team at the moment. So we used to play. Let's have a go. Get it forward. 2 men in up front, flick it on, hold it up, pass it on, wings. And it sounds to me like that's how Cook wants to play. I know he's not a 2-man up front type of guy, but he has said lots of times about he wants crosses into the box. That's music to my ears. I love a good cross and a flicked on header. You were at the Portman Road on Saturday, right? The under-18s scored, from the left-hand side, cross into the box, flick, goal. It's Graham Taylor. I know Graham Taylor's going back a bit, but his Watford team that dominated English football for quite a few seasons was built on get the ball wide and cross it, because they analysed football and realised that was one of the most effective ways to score goals. It's not a secret. It's really straightforward.
Get the ball in the box.
Get the ball in the box.
Put it in the mixer.
Put it in the mixer. All of that jazz. Yeah. I mean, and this is League One.
John?
The thing is, you talk about Jim Magilton there. I mean, he was an absolute legend. Absolutely. We had Matt Holland working every blade of the grass in that middle of the park. Then you had people like Wilness or, running up and down like Kane Vincent Young does remind me of Fabian Wilness, or Gus Beek, that ability to get up and down the pitch. And, the good comparison I would bring with that era, because that is my golden era of my time supporting the club. Holland, signed shirt, Jermaine Wright, what a cracking player he was. Jim Magilton, an absolute god for Ipswich Town. Love that squad, love those days. But when Burley took over, we were going through a change, and he had to start really releasing players, making that difference. I just hope that Paul Cook's going to do what Burley did and be given chance to build something special, so we can all have. I'm not talking about necessarily reaching the Premier League again, because that is so far away. But let's just talk about having a team that we're proud to watch. Let's have a team who have got energy, who get up and down the pitch, and it gets you off your seat like you want them to score. We could score goals. Who goes into a game at the moment going, oh, we're going to, I was at the beginning of the season joking about 4-2 every week, wasn't I? I predicted 0-0 in our little predictor league this weekend. And I'm top of the league, by the way. But I am now because I predicted with my head rather than my heart. My head said we don't score goals, but we don't concede. I'm going to go for a 0-0 against a poor Wigan side who actually played better than we did. So let's have that energetic side. I don't mind finishing 7th if we're playing really good football. you know, I grew up in Sunderland and my Sunderland mates would kill me, but the Kevin Keegan era, I'm not talking about for England, I'm talking for Newcastle. Keegan's mentality is, if they score 3, we'll score 4. Now, who didn't like watching Newcastle at that point with Ginola and Beardsley and Barton and Batty and, you know, all those guys? It was cracking football because they wanted to score goals. They wanted to entertain their fans. That's the kind of brand of football I would love to see.
And of course, Joe Royal, it was 4-3s, 6-4s, and all that sort of stuff. Because our defence was a bit, shocking at some point. Anyway, we're digressing here. Thank you for adding the other segments. It's always good to have a great discussion, bringing back the good old days. And hopefully, under Paul Cook, it won't be 4 playoffs. And we lose in the 3. And luckily, away goals is not a thing anymore, thank God. Because that was just heartbreaking. But yeah, I'm going to go over to Matt quickly, and Ben will end with you, my friend. 10 games to play, 30 points up for grabs. What do you reckon then?
I've got a really weird feeling in my bones that we're going to do it and that we're going to have a go. But I'm a hopeless, optimistic, romantic twat when it comes to things like that. And we talked about the Burley era. You look at the 4-4-2 that we played. You know, we didn't have 2 wingers and 2 centre midfielders. We just had 4 bloody good midfielders that knew how to move, that knew how to pass, that knew how to tackle, that knew how to get space and create little triangles and have people overlapping. This is basics. This is what the community trust are going to be teaching like 8-year-olds this week during the Easter half term, bless them. But I want to see us have a go. You know, these players and the team, they're going to be looking at these fixtures and they're going to be thinking, well, they're shit. We can do them. But are they? Or are they going to be turning up on match day with their Louis Vuitton wash bags, giving it the old symbol to the club photographer with the face masks on, and then go up and do a nice warm up? And that can get fucked. Sorry, I've had a beer. I don't want to see any more fingers and ears. You know, if they were winning the league, 100 points, 100 goals, HMS urinate the league. Yeah, do it. But I'm sorry, this is like, is this the? I mean, I'm 40 next month. I'll stop you there. I know I don't look it, but is this the most inept Ipswich Town team in my lifetime? You know.
I feel. I was just going to say, my son is 20.
Wow, you don't look it. You don't look old enough.
Say to you. But I feel so sorry for him because I grew up as a tiny little kid with the 80-81 squad, and then like all of you here, you know, the team where I was an adult and driving to games and all that sort of stuff was the promotion, you know, the 2000, 2001, all that, you know. And Ross, I know you were just born about then, so you know.
Carry on. You can talk about it. It's fine.
Yeah. But my son and all these other kids, you know, 20, 18, 19, 20, all they know is that, you know, us, you know, stagnating in the championship and relegation, and no one really to get excited about, you know. Which posters are on their wall? You know, I had actually, I'm sorry, Ross, we're just really going off in a tangent here. All of my family support Ipswich, and my uncle Steve, he was a massive influence on insisting that I supported Ipswich as a kid. And he was also a decorator. And so I had Ipswich Town wallpaper in my bedroom when I was like 5 to whatever, you know, teenage. Everything. I've got it upstairs and I need to send it back to him. I've got a flag from the 1978 FA Cup final, programs, you know, and I used to have all the centre things, you know, with Mick Mills and Paul Mariner and Eric Gates and all that. I used to, you know, so I just wonder who they're putting on the walls now, because it's, you know, who? John?
I was just going to say a little bit of optimism, though, right? I had the pleasure the other evening on Twitter, one of the young Ipswich Town fans, a young guy called Taylor Poole, who does some YouTube stuff. He put out there and he's putting together a little 2000 kind of documentary talking to fans. So I just tweeted him back and said I would happily speak to him for a few minutes. And I don't know how old Taylor is, but one, he's a passionate Town fan. Two, he spoke like a proper professional. He was lovely, lovely lad. And he's really enthusiastic about Ipswich Town. And somehow we've managed to get people like him passionate about our club despite that era, so that the future is still positive. So that, you know, whilst I might be in the oldest part here and or you know, certainly old enough to be Ross's dad. That makes me scarily old. But you know, generally we're at a point where there's some good young people still supporting our club, and let's just give them all something to cheer about. Let's have this brand of football. Let's have an exciting time. Let's build something, because this season, regardless of whether we make the playoffs or not, we're not going to go up. Because we can't beat a good side over one game, we certainly can't beat them over two games. So even if we miraculously make it in the playoffs, we're not going up. So let's just start building. Let's have a clear out of the people who don't want to be here. Keep the people who want to be here. And what we've got to be fair to Paul Cook about is he's going to have to keep some people that we might not want to keep, because he can't bring in a squad of 18 players. He's going to keep, you know, Bishop, Edwards, Norwood, Hawley, Wilson, KVY. Nolan's not out of contract. Hawkins isn't out of contract. You start going through all, you know, yes, we've probably seen Sears go. I think Hughes has gone missing in action somewhere. What has happened to Amir Hughes? All those players are going to go, but we're going to have to keep some of them, because we don't want absolute strangers, and you need to bring in better than you've already got. So if you're not bringing in a better centre half than Chambers, Toto, or Wolfie, and Wilson, then you keep some of them. But we need 2 attacking fullbacks. We need 4 wide people. You know, Edwards might be one of those 4, but we need 2 left backs, 1 right back if KVY's fit, and we need another 3 wide midfielders, and maybe Edwards is with that quality around him might do it. But let's get these young people something to be proud of, because like, I don't know what's worse, never having it or not having it for so long. It hurts because you've had it before. You know, it's crap watching your team now when you can. I remember you can go across the team and think Hariderson and McGrail and, you know, Clapham and Wright and Jim Magilton and Rooster coming on and Scowcroft and Johnson. You go through these players and you think
Pablo.
Yeah.
Oh.
But then we're looking at people now and going, you know, somebody who can't be bothered to press a ball. Watch back and watch Matt Holland, how much grass he covered, and Magilton demanding so much. We need some more of those kind of characters. So I've gone on a rant now, Ross. I'm going to shush.
Matt, take it away. Take it away. My voice is gone. My voice is gone. Oh, dear me. Yeah, take it away, Matt. And Ben, we'll finally get over to you. I'm sure you've been patiently waiting to discuss the 10 Cup finals.
Thank you, Ross. And I hope you're right. Just mute yourself and have a good old cough. I actually think that we're going to have a summer of change. And I'm not going to do one of my fantastic voiceover voices for that. But we're going to see an absolute metric fuck ton of people leave. Ta-ra, see you later. Enjoy your next contract at Concord Rangers or another progressive club like that. And I actually think that we're going to see a lot of people coming through. My boy, Elkin Baggett, you know, Il Mazzuni, Dobra, Alan Viral, Tyree Simpson, McGavin, people like this. These are guys I think to get excited about. Yeah, we might try another like free agent at left back, but we had that with with Ward, who I actually think was a great signing, and for the first couple of months looked pretty decent. But we're asking him to play a lot of football, more than what he probably has in the last 4 or 5 years. What's the worst that could happen? Because as much as I would like us to go in the playoffs and win, that might actually be the worst thing for us, because if we do go up, we'll really need to strengthen, and there'll be no consistency or cohesion or anything like that. So I think if we stay, then just get rid of the dross. Give the kids a chance. They've got some, Darren was talking about Football Manager. I myself, that is my drug. Football Manager. It has been since I was doing GCSEs. That was 25 years ago. And I always think, if I hadn't have got hooked on Football Manager, I'd probably be like a nuclear professor or something now, or a multi-million record-selling artist. It's a very particular brand of bass that I play. But, just give these kids a chance. We've invested time and money in these guys, and a lot of them look decent. What's the worst that could happen? You look at clubs like Fleetwood and Accrington, they use like 20 players a season. I think we've already, if you discount the Papa John Trophy, or the Football League Trophy, as it's properly called, the Coca-Cola Cup, as I call it, forget all those games in the cups that Lambert, swear jar, wasn't interested in. We've used fucking loads of players. No wonder we can't get any consistency. But I don't know. We'll see. It's quite exciting. I think I'm more excited about this summer, seeing the players holding their shirts against the Cobbold stand with the writing, Ipswich Town Football Club.
Yeah, classic.
But we must win the next three games. 9 points. I want to see 9 points, 8 goals, 1 against. That's it. That's all you're getting from me, Ross.
It's okay. No, that's fine. I'm okay now. Oh, Ziggy's in camera shot. But Ben, you've heard a lot of what the guys have said. We're going to wrap it up here. Your thoughts on the next couple games coming up, really, because I think we need to get some form before we get to the tail end of the season. We are pretty much at the tail end of the season, but the next 3 games are massive, aren't they?
Oh, they're huge, yeah. I mean, obviously, you with this segment's going to be about the last 10 games. Well, the last 10, if we don't, the next 3, particularly, obviously, Easter, Good Friday and Easter Monday, if we don't get, 4 points minimum, really 6 points ideally. If we don't do that from those 2 games, you can exactly. I'll be with you, Ross. The season's over. There's no point. Let's just shut up shop, go home, play the youngsters, build for next season, release everybody you're thinking about releasing, and just forget about it, because it's not going to happen. How will we get there if we do get to the playoffs? A different conversation whether we'd actually get through the playoffs. Probably not. I understand Cook plays this formation 4-2-3-1, and that's what he's done in his career. But you can only do that if the players that you have that are in form or playing well enough fit that formation. And right now, they probably don't. One of my main gripes, with the whole McCarthy, Hurst, everything that happened there thing, was that our players were never good enough to play any other way. As much as we were boring to watch under Mick, I just don't think we had the players. I don't think we had the players to play better than that in terms of we hoof ball, knock it up. We're not good enough to knock it on the floor. We're still not. We don't have the players good enough to play it around on the floor, this lovely football that we want to see, because you watch Man City and Liverpool do it week in, week out, and they're paid hundreds of thousands to do so. I don't care how they do it. I just want to see my team win. I want to see goals. We touched on the Royal era, we touched on the Burley era. I just want to see us have 10 attacks that look threatening in a game. I'm not saying 10 goals. I'm saying 10 attacks, which might bring 2 or 3 goals. you play Jackson and Norwood up front together, or you play 3 up top in terms of 2 wingers that can actually beat a man and cross the ball for Norwood to get on there. End of that's what I'm looking for when I look at our team. And what demoralises me when I look at the games like the Wigan game, the Northampton game, the Portsmouth game where we played okay for 35 minutes, our standards are so low as fans, so low. They're not high. We're not looking. I think Paul Cook, when he first came through, shooting for the stars. We're not looking. Oh, Jesus. Can't see the fecking stars.
Going for gold.
I wish we could reach for the stars. Can't even see them. Going for gold. I'm trying to run 100 meters. I'm trying to see the finish line. We're so poor. Like we are. It's awful. And I still believe we have the players. I still think we've got 10 games, a mini season. We could still do it. I'm not losing hope. I'm just saying how very unlikely the players ever listen to stuff like this. But if they did, I'm not saying we're absolutely rubbish. God, kick them all out. I'm just saying that give us some hope. Like, please, for 90 minutes, let's absolutely beat the living hell out of Bristol Rovers on Friday and give the whole fan base something to cling on for the rest of the season. Have a fantastic Easter weekend. And look, if we get in the playoffs, people are at least going to have an extra bit of football to enjoy in what has been a terrible year. And, okay, we may not get through the playoffs. I actually think if Cook gets us to the playoffs, that's an achievement in itself. And we'll all smile and think we cannot wait for next season. It'll be a building block in itself. And he's not stupid. He'll still get rid of the players that he wants to get rid of. Maybe 1 or 2 would have proved him wrong in this 10-match run. But overall, I think he's probably made his mind up who is going to be good, who's going to be bad, who fits in, who doesn't. And again, next season, 4-2-3-1, let's go for it. With 2 really good wingers. With, a forward, maybe it's Norwood who'll get the chances and ping them away. With, maybe a different goalkeeper. Who knows? But I'm saying that we could do it. Let's not rule it out. But from the evidence we've had so far over the last 3 or 4 weeks, we're probably not going to get in the playoff.
Perhaps what he might actually go in and say, in the great words of Matt, to go and say, let's shake this shitty pillow, because that is the best expression. Oh, sorry, fluff this shitty pillow. That should be the title of the pod, and that should be Paul Cook's starting conversation with the players tomorrow morning. I love it.
Okay, then. Well, I think that's the perfect way to wrap up. I saw Darren. Any other business? I saw you wanted to quickly chat. No, you're shaking his head. Okay, that's it then. That's it.
That's just hope. Come on, that's have it on Friday. That's hope. I don't think we're going to do it, but come on, who knows? I love Ben's speech there. Fantastic. But I can't wait for next season. The summer's going to, as Matt said, the summer's going to be awesome. So many players released, so many players coming in. Yes, let's have it.
Yeah, and of course the phrase is always, it's just the hope that kills you. So there we go. Well, Ben, Darren, Matt and Jon, what a show it's been. Thank you very much for joining me as ever on Game Day Extra Time. Extra, we are earlier than normal. Normally this is on a Friday morning, afternoon, but we've got it here on a Monday. If you're listening to it on a Monday, you could be listening to it on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whenever you listen to this to. But thank you for listening as ever. Make sure to follow us on all the socials on Kings of Anglia, and also leave us a review if you fancy. Let us know what you think of Game Day Extra Time. Who is your favourite of the posse? Do you love Jon's accent? Do you love Matt's phrases? Do you love Darren and Ben's insight? Let us know. But anyways, I've been Ross. The main pod will be back later in the week, so the normal service will resume. We'll be looking ahead to the Bristol Rovers game. It's Easter! Yay! Eat Easter eggs. Enjoy your half term if you're having half term, as Jon is as well, because he's a good head teacher, all that. But anyways, I've rambled on long enough. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.